Hey guys, so I thought I'd give off my overall feel on Batman v Superman, which I just watched yesterday around 6 p.m. and I've had some time to think about it and kind of roll the movie around in my head and kind of get my thoughts together on it. So I guess I'll start off by kind of explaining the tone and feel of the movie, which is still very much like Man of Steel. It's still very gritty, very dark, but you can tell they try to improve on a lot of things. They try to make it a little bit more colorful, a little bit more saturation. You could tell the blue is blue, you could tell the red is red. So they're clearly trying to listen to the fans, but you can tell they don't want to just jump from dark and gritty to colorful or else you'll feel some kind of disconnect. So it seems like they're trying to take it step by step, which I appreciate, but it still doesn't help their cause much because it's still the same dark and gritty movie, which no one really wants at this point. Besides that, it's a really philosophical movie. They try to make it this really existential kind of movie where they ask a lot of questions, try and make you think about life, which if you're into that type of movie, it's good, but it's a movie called Batman vs. Superman. It's not supposed to be this big Oscar-worthy type of movie. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be exciting. There's supposed to be that big nerd moment, which I'll get to in a while, but there really isn't none of that. It's fun, because you see the action scenes and they're intense and they're kind of all over the place, so in that aspect it's good, but it's not really a fun movie. There were a lot of kids in my theater that halfway through they wanted to leave or they were scared, which with Batman in it, it's warranted. They should be scared, but again, it's a movie called Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. It shouldn't be that dark or bleak of a movie. So, next off with the characters, you have Batman, which the whole first part of the movie is kind of about him. I will say I do like Ben Affleck as Batman. His Bruce Wayne is what Bruce Wayne should be, at least with the Dark Knight Returns Bruce Wayne. He did nail it. You could tell he did try to actually make a good Bruce Wayne, which, like I said, you could tell they tried a lot in this movie, which is greatly appreciated. Because you can feel it as the audience and you can feel it in the movie, which gives it an extra push when it comes to everything else. So I like Ben Affleck. The Batman was perfect. The way he moved around, his fighting style was very Arkham City. So I think they really did nail Batman here as far as the Dark Knight Returns go. I loved it. And then Alfred was amazing. He's that kind of year one Batman Alfred. He's a smartass. He's just shit talking Bruce all the time. He just doesn't give a fuck, and I love it. So Jeffrey Irons did amazing as Alfred. The next character, which the movie is also about, Superman. Not much changed on him. He's still very Man of Steel-ish. He's still very confused about what he wants. There was a point in the movie where he was talking to his mom Martha, and she's like, "Alright, be the hero this planet deserves, or be none of it, and pretty much do whatever the fuck you want. Kill him, whatever. You don't owe this world a thing." So he still has shitty parent figures that don't really steer him in the right direction. So he's still very confused. He's just still a really dark character. He still almost seems like the villain in half the movie. But I mean, I will say, like I said, improvement is a word I will be using a lot in here because they did try to improve him. One thing I did notice during the big battle is he did try to take it away from the town. So Zack Snyder's listening. Even though he wants to make it realistic, we don't like a whole bunch of destruction in the battle. We don't want to see like 3 9/11s put together in one fight scene, you know? So I do like that in one point when he's fighting Doomsday. He does try and take him out into space, so there isn't that much collateral damage. So he is getting smarter as Superman, and he's getting more careful. He tried to save a lot more people, but at the same time he couldn't, and they give the explanation he's distracted because of everything that's going on, which, take it or leave it, it's their explanation. It works, I guess, for the movie. But yeah, he's still very much the same dark character, but he does try to improve a lot as to saving people and to lowering collateral damage. So in that aspect, I guess the Superman has improved from Man of Steel, but it still feels very much the same. So they can still work on them, and I feel like they will, because, again, spoiler alert if you didn't know already, he does die at the end. So I feel like that's kind of their way of saying, alright, he's dead, he's gonna come back, and he's gonna be the Superman you all know and love. He's gonna be that Boy Scout, colorful, he's gonna have a new appreciation for life, and he's just gonna be a better Superman. So, bury the old, come out with the new, which we all want. So that's the way I look at it anyways. Wonder Woman there's not much to say on Wonder Woman. She was good. She's pretty much what Wonder Woman is, I guess. Because you have two different types of Wonder Woman in the comics usually. There's the Boy Scout or Girl Scout Wonder Woman where she's happy and she's happy-go-lucky, whatever, like the TV show. But then you also have the kind of New 52 Wonder Woman where she's really full of herself. She knows she's a badass. She's smart, and she's just full of herself. I mean, there's no other way to put it. And that's kind of what they went with in Batman v Superman. And as far as it goes, Gal Gadot. After that, just a kind of the quick scenes you get with Flash, Aquaman, and Cyborg. You do get Flash, which is communicating to Bruce through dreams about. They make it seem like it's Superman, but it might be something else in the end. They're like, oh, you were right about him, Bruce. You're always right about him. You have to stop him. Which he might not actually be talking about Superman, as we find out, because Superman does kind of stop being the villain. He tries to be a good guy, so it might be about someone else. But they do show a scene with hidden cameras where they do show Barry Allen as the Flash, and he doesn't look a lot like Barry Allen. Granted, I don't mind the brown hair anymore. The Flash is doing that on CW, and it works. It doesn't have to be blonde, but he doesn't look like Barry Allen. He looks like Jason Momoa if he were skinnier, to be honest. He's got that long brown hair, surfer dude. He's got it in a man bun. He still looks like a bad boy, which he is in the comics. He's got that leather jacket, jeans. Everything looks right. It's just the hair that kind of bothered me, but I guess that's kind of nitpicking, but it still looks pretty dumb. Then they have Aquaman, Jason Momoa. They showed him real quick. Not enough to really judge anything on, but he looked decent for the time being. He looked decent from what they showed. He was only in it for about 3 seconds, but I absolutely loved it. Was Cyborg. So if you've seen Justice League War, it's pretty much that. The exact same costume from what we're seeing. That really like gel-like form that just kind of like flows around in the air and kind of gets stuck to his body. Almost like nanobots in a way. It looks really cool. It showed his dad experimenting on them. He's literally like not even half a human. You just see Victor Stone on the wall. It's only like his 2 arms. No, it's only like 1 arm, his torso, and his head. And then you see like with the 3rd experiment, you see the whole robot weird gel-like thing activate, and it just flows to Victor Stone, and you see him screaming. It's just a really horrific scene, but I loved it. I can't wait till we see Cyborg. After that, we move on to the last big character, which is Lex Luthor. He's not Lex Luthor, I'll say that. Honestly, I didn't like him. I tried to get behind him throughout the movie. I'm like, alright, I'm gonna give him a chance, but he just kept doing these Jesse Eisenberg things, which I did not like. It was good for the movie. I get what they were trying to do. He's almost like this. He gives off this Jim Carrey vibe. I'll say that from, the only thing I can think about is Batman Forever the Riddler. That's what he was. He wasn't Lex Luthor, he was just the Riddler. And I didn't like it. I did not like it. He was too much of a psychopath, but not in a good way. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could have the Kingpin type of psychopath and then the Riddler, Jim Carrey psychopath. And Lex Luthor should be more like Kingpin. So I mean, I did not like what they did with Lex Luthor, but for the movie, I guess it worked out in certain parts when he kidnapped Martha. I really did like that, I'll say. When he kidnapped Martha, he was just throwing pictures of a beaten up Martha in front of Superman. He's really not giving a fuck, he's just laughing. He's like, alright, you work for me now, fuck you, Superman. So it worked in that aspect. Like I said, it works in the movie a little bit, but it's still kind of cringy, and it's not Lex Luthor. The overall plot is, there's a massacre in the desert. They try to blame Superman. Well, Lex Luthor tries to frame Superman as he killed everyone in the desert. But he really didn't. It was a couple of men he hired, and they find out they're trying to frame Superman because Lois finds a bullet that doesn't belong to any CIA, anything. It's made by LexCorp, whatever. It's Lex who's trying to frame Superman. They build up Batman doesn't trust him. Lex Luthor ends up sending Batman notes about you killed your family, all this, all that. It's not Joker. So it's Lex Luthor trying to kind of build up this huge fight that's going to happen. Then there's this big court scene finally where they're going to kind of talk to Superman about the massacre. And it doesn't work out. So Lex Luthor blows up the courthouse because, I mean, you can't frame Superman. He's going to get exposed for framing him. So yeah, naturally, why not? Blow up the whole courthouse. And that's the scene I was talking about where Superman couldn't see the bomb and he's just kind of standing in the courthouse around all these dead bodies. After this, it's pretty much secreted that Batman really hates Superman at this point. He does not trust him, he doesn't like him. So, with Lex Luthor teasing Batman, he's ready to fight Superman. But Superman doesn't want to, and this is where Lex Luthor kidnaps Martha, like, you're gonna fight Batman, you're gonna kill Batman, or I'm gonna kill your mom. So, they fight, but Superman doesn't really want to fight, and they end up fighting. Batman almost kills him with kryptonite, but there's a lot of scenes where Superman's clearly gonna beat up Batman. I mean, Zack Snyder even said, it's Superman, he's gonna kill Batman easily. Anytime he wants to, he can do it. And they show that. Batman needs kryptonite to kill Superman. Once he runs out of that, he's pretty much gonna get fucked over. But I really like the way they do it. The fight scene is good overall. I mean, it's kind of what you would expect from the movie. Batman v Superman, they deliver on the fight. It's action-packed, it's good. And at the same time, I guess it's kind of emotional because you're like, Superman doesn't want to fight Batman at this point. You realize he's not such a bad guy. And this is where they kind of start changing the character of Superman into what we know the most, which is good. So, he explains to Batman they're going to kill Martha. Batman helps Martha, and then Lex gets mad. He releases Doomsday, which he created from General Zod and his blood. And they fight Doomsday. The whole Trinity, you get Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, which is incredibly underwhelming, I'm gonna say. It's not... It should have felt like... I don't want to compare it to Marvel, but it should have felt like the Avengers. This huge build-up, like 5 years of build-up to get to the Avengers, and it just feels like this huge payoff, like, oh my god, we're finally gonna see them. But instead, it's just... they're kind of thrown in here. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. DC doesn't have to copy Marvel, they can do their own thing, but there was no real build-up to it. It just kind of happened. So there's no build-up, you don't feel any real connection to these characters. It's just like, alright, they're here. They're gonna fight Doomsday, whatever. Like I said, like a lot of people have said, it's just a rush to the Justice League overall. And it's, you can definitely feel it, but I appreciate them for trying to get their universe together, but it was just really underwhelming. But yeah, they fight Doomsday. Doomsday ends up killing Superman, which again, no build-up. You don't really have any connection to this character. I at least do not connect with him. I don't like Superman. I do not feel any type of emotions towards him as a superhero or anything like that. So when he dies, it's like, okay, he dies. It's not really a big deal. It's not like the comics where you've known him for like 50 plus years and then he dies and it's this huge deal. It was on the news, it was on everything. Here it's just like, they just did it just to do it. Like, after Doomsday kills Superman, Batman and Wonder Woman are at his grave and they're like, we need to round up all the metahumans, and like I said, Justice League comes out, next year? So rush to the Justice League here, we need to round them up, and we need to fight. After that, the last thing we have is, mind you, Superman just died about 4 minutes ago in movie time. Well, at least in our time. Movie time, I guess it's been a couple of days. But movie time, Superman's been dead for about 4 minutes. That's supposed to be the big emotional impact. And then, boom. You see Lois throw dirt in the box and then you see the dirt lift up. So Superman isn't dead. They couldn't even stick to that, really. They kept him dead a whole 4 minutes. Woo. Really underwhelming. It's just really hard to discern your feelings about this because there are two words you're using: underwhelming and improvement. Because they improve in a lot of things, but a lot of the parts are really underwhelming. Which, I mean, I guess really explains my overall feelings on the movie. I did enjoy it, don't get the wrong idea. I loved the movie. I thought it was good. I don't think I would see it again, but I'd definitely buy it on Blu-ray or whatever and probably watch it there. Overall, it wasn't a great movie, nor was it a good movie, but it also wasn't a terrible movie. They did what they were trying to do. Like I said, they showed improvement, but they did so much wrong for everything that they improved from Man of Steel. I just can't get over the fact that they try to shove 50 plus years of comics into a 2.5 hour movie. They completely bastardized the deaths of Superman. They completely, even though they did a lot right with Batman, he's a killer. He's not supposed to be a killer. Like I explained earlier, yeah, he killed 2 people, but that was like the big deal in The Dark Knight Returns. I just really don't get what they were trying to do with this movie. They tried to do too much and ended up doing nothing at all. And it really just ended up hurting it in the end. Overall, I think that have to be my biggest problem with this movie. They tried to do too much but ended up doing nothing, or they ended up hurting the movie because of it. But overall I'd say just try and watch the movie if you want to see your favorite characters completely fucked up. That's all I gotta say. They tried to do too much with the visual. They tried to make it too realistic and gritty, and along the way they forgot to make it entertaining. They forgot to make it Batman and Superman having their own little like adventures together. They just lost their way somewhere along there. And that overall, that's the biggest crime of the movie. They lost their way and they forgot to make it what it's supposed to be. And they ended up just creating an abomination of a film. I'd say if you want to watch Batman and Superman fight, go ahead and watch it. But if you're a fan of the comics and you weren't a fan of Man of Steel, don't watch this movie at all. It'll leave you disappointed and it'll leave you with a bad taste in your mouth. For that reason, I'd have to give this movie a well-deserved 6 out of 10.